Nickelodeon has a weird and loving relationship with TMNT. It seemed to work well with the 2012 reboot, and it led to this.
Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, using the house shell, rising up.
This show was set to officially premiere on September 17th of 2018, but this first episode came out back in early July. I never got to see it until a few days ago, so today I will answer, did Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles start off well? Full disclosure, I am a pretty big fan of the 2012 series. Upon watching this, I did have certain thoughts come up about certain changes I like and I don't like, but I can assure you, whenever it comes up, I'll remind you of that. So let's talk about that great intro you saw in the beginning of this video. I love the animation, I love the art style. The song is alright, and as far as intros go for both shows, this one wins by a mutant mile. However, the other song is much better. One thing I enjoy about this show is that it's incredibly wacky while in this dark, slow-moving and grim atmosphere. To be able to do both in the same vein as a Teen Titans or Invader Zim is admirable. The episode starts out with this fast-paced chase here from these two dudes. I didn't necessarily enjoy the designs of these two, but considering what their true designs are, I guess you can say they lost the battle to win the war. However, what I do enjoy a lot is that despite this action scene having implied danger, they're chasing this dog. Yes, I know, it's a dog, it's not a cat, like I thought for 60% of this episode. But anyway, despite the danger, it maintains a lot of humor, like these guys tiptoeing around the flags.
This way.
So as you see, the dog is carrying something very important, and also said dog can teleport. Both of these things will come into play later on in the review, as well as the dogs on the antagonist's bodies. So now we get the main attraction of the show, the turtles. And from watching this episode, if you watch the 2012 version, you should know that the leader changed from Leonardo to Raphael. This version of Raphael isn't as aggressive and seems to do a good job of being more or less a level-headed leader. Donatello and Michelangelo seem to keep their personalities for the most part. It actually has dawned on me that they switched the focus of this reboot to focus less on the turtles and more on the action, which it works. Remember, this is still a toy line influenced series, and there are toys coming out for this very series. The only turtle in this episode I had an issue with is Leonardo. He doesn't appear to do much, and going from the 2012 series where he was a really big character and the leader, he doesn't really retain anything memorable in this episode except, well, that he's not in charge anymore. So the scene focuses on this transaction that appears to be top secret and a little shady, with the turtles in the background to emphasize that these two situations should be connected. The shots here are actually pretty neat. Definitely enjoy the subtle movement of the camera as well as how they keep each shot to being short and to the point. It really adds to the action atmosphere. Another change they made was that April has a different tone. Yeah, her tone in this episode is that she's a lot more fun-loving, happy, and less cautious than her justifiably upset counterpart. Oh, and if you don't know or remember in the 2012 version, April had to rescue her father within the first season. Oh yeah, and she's also black.
Huh? Oh.
I'm not sure if this was an outrage, and I don't really care. I majored in apathetics for a reason. But look at this animation scene here. Everything about it screams cool. The near top-down perspective looking down, the way the scene pushes and pulls attention to make each movement seem really quick and loose, and the way it builds up more and more. I guess in one sense it probably looks like a roughly sketched comic, but out of all shows that look like a roughly sketched out comic, I think I'd want it to be this show. Obviously, because joke, the dog doesn't like the welcoming Raphael, but actually the neutral April. However, as you know, said dog is being chased, which leads into this scene here.
Excuse me, sirs. Can you direct us to the local science fiction convention that we are currently dressed for?
Oh yeah, it's past the street of How the Heck Should I Know Boulevard.
You think you're gonna step to our friend? Rookie mistake, hoss.
And if you step to my friends for stepping to you, for stepping to me, you gonna have to step to me.
The comedy in this is also so great, so these guys finally show that they aren't the shady, bulky guys with a love for dogs. They also belong to the mutant world, and show so when they transform. One thing I do enjoy about the show is that during the action scenes, they act how I would imagine mutant teenagers to act. They aren't taking the threat seriously, and they care more about looking cool than actually having the battle. In fact, the amount of action and comedy that goes throughout this 22-minute special is debatably close. I don't know if there is more comedy or action in this particular episode. I think it works well considering that for now it isn't as grim and dark as its incredibly dark 2012 counterpart, at least in the later seasons. There is so much I can go into when talking about these fighting scenes as well. They build up a lot of interesting combinations, like with the whole ninja mode part, which I thought could have been built up a lot better than a simple cut to the evil guy and then cut back to see that they weren't really invisible in the first place. But then there are other parts which I do enjoy and think worked well for its execution, like Leonardo walking up this truck to fail epically. I guess if there was something that I don't like and I think that this new Rise of the TMNT show should fix, it would be the way it has its jokes during the fighting scene specifically. I found those jokes to be the weakest throughout the episode. Besides that though, the fighting itself doesn't seem too bad. I do notice that they take a few shortcuts in the animation department, and maybe as I learn more about the technical side, I'd probably find more shortcuts that they did take, like reusing the same action lines here that you see throughout the episode. The violence seems to show impact, and it feels like it's hurting the characters, which is a solid plus in my opinion, especially for action shows. The back and forth sort of dynamic did seem a little first fighty when it comes to many superhero shows. Obviously in the first battle, they're incredibly inexperienced, but I guess one can argue, depending on how the story goes, they can get to a point where amateur mistakes they're making will be fixed in due time. The big guys take the dog with the mutant vial, and April chases after them, leading into this big portal into the mutant world, separating herself from the turtles. I should say so far, Donatello and April don't seem to be a thing like with the other show, considering at a point they already knew each other. That's also a pretty interesting change in my opinion. Will April or any of the other turtles have a love interest? And will I stop becoming the love interest reviewer? They show a connection between the symbol on the wall and a device that Splinter, said turtle, sensei, and father in a sense have. I don't really like how Leonardo is just kind of the common middle between Michelangelo's curiosity, Donatello's practicality, and Raphael's boneheadedness. They say on the Wikia that he's supposed to be the cool turtle, but they're all cool. So far, he's just an extra voice, but between his character and this character coming up, I gotta say, the definition of downgrade is the following.
Hey, Pop. Any chance we could have the living room tonight?
And I thought purple was the funny one.
I don't like what they did to Splinter's character here. I know this is just another bias, but the way that he was portrayed here pales in comparison to the other Splinter, who was warm, wise, and caring, similar to the Sensei in Ninjago or Shaolin Showdown. He seems so detached here, and also a little on the nose about a few things. He doesn't stay on this level of unsupportive, I hear, thank the boss baby overlords, but if there was ever an award for worst character debuts in 2018, it would go to Gwen in Total Dramarama. Seriously, why did you do that? That was really awful. But if there was a runner-up, then it would be this Splinter. So they take the device, use it on the wall, and get to this part here. The mutant underworld seems pretty standard. I wouldn't think that with the level of the above ground backgrounds, that the underworld backgrounds would be lackluster anyway. They meet up with April, and something has been confusing me since the beginning of the episode.
Maybe it's some kind of nuclear Saint Bernard? Oh, that's so bad.
Stop singing!
So where's the dog thingy?
You see, they keep alluding that it's a dog, but it makes cat noises. It purred earlier, and here, you can clearly hear that it's the sound effect of a cat.
Hey, there's the little guy. And the delivery guy, too.
Look, I may not know much. I don't know the specific heat of carbon. I have zero idea of the population of the Netherlands. And I don't know why Josh didn't buy the original home from his Drake and Josh days. Because I'd want to be there. Set it up as a tourist shop. I would definitely love to come down there and see it. But don't you dare insult my intelligence. Because I know that a cat meows, a dog wolfs, a sheep baws, and a panda reviews. So anyway, they investigate why they took the poor cat dog. Which leads into the main villain of this episode. Baron Draxum, voiced by John Cena?
You're the guy who keeps calling about the calamari. Fine. It's pig butts. But the crab cakes are real.
I assure you I have no interest in your
petty cakes of crab.
I mean, I guess I hear it. Man, if they don't bust out the SCF on a turtle or something, powerbomb Leonardo, suplex Donatello, they gotta do something. Hit someone with a steel chair or something, that'd be pretty cool. Anyway, comic relief throwaway character gets mutated and April clearly calls what makes a cat noise a dog. We get a few comedy scenes and a call back to when they broke their weapons, and here's the big fight. I don't want to give out too much here. I definitely want you guys to see it for yourself. This is actually pretty interesting, and I definitely would recommend it. You see, when Donatello beats up the bad guy with his stick and takes a selfie here, that's how you do a selfie spot in a modern show, Nickelodeon. You don't just take characters who would never do that or understand in 100 years and brute force them to take a selfie.
And since you're surrendering...
Baron Draxum does not surrender.
Okay, well, when he gets here, we'll deal with him. Oh, I see you're doing that whole sinister talking in the third person thing.
That's such a cheap way to get the antagonist through, but the turtles learn that their weapons glow and it leads into them learning about their weapons. Too bad because the first episode they get caught, but luckily because of Mikey's mishap with the big machine, Draxum is smashed and they barely escape.
We deserve a name like Mad Dog.
Mad Dogs? You don't think something like Ninja Mutant Turtle Teens or...
References! Anyway, they become a big fighting team, and this was Rise of TMNT, Mystic Mayhem, which is the name of the dog cat, Mayhem. The violence seemed to show impact, and it feels like it's actually hurting the characters, which is a solid... Overall, I definitely enjoy the effort put into the animation, the gritty and rough way the art style looks, and the dynamic of most of the characters. I'm not a fan of Splinter so far. He seems to be pretty weak within this episode. I love April much more in this show than the other show. Raph as a leader is pretty interesting. John Cena as the voice actor for Baron Draxum is actually pretty underwhelming so far. I don't think sinister and intimidating is in his voice. It's in his big wrestler muscles, but not in his voice. I guess you can say that they aren't going for too dark here, and it seems pretty goofy and comedic here. But anyway, what do you guys think of the show? Let me know in the comments down below. And as you guys know, the next video is going to be TMNT 2012 and is going to be a Patreon exclusive TMNT 2003 review. So if you want to see the 2003 review, make sure to check out my Patreon. And also special thanks to the patrons of September. As always, take care. Alpha out.